Let me tell you something that might hurt. Nobody is coming to save you. That pit in your chest, that voice in your head screaming, why am I not enough? It's real. And you've drowned it in distractions, lies, and excuses long enough. You look in the mirror and you know you could be more. You feel it every morning when you hit snooze, every night when you scroll your life away wishing for a reality you haven't earned. The world doesn't owe you comfort. It rewards discipline. It rewards pain turned into purpose. You want respect? Build it. You want love? Be worthy of it. You want peace? Earn it through war with your weakness. Every wasted day, every I'll do it tomorrow, they add up. And one day, you'll wake up with regret heavy in your chest and no time left to fix it. Don't let that be your story. There is no plan B. You are the plan. Fix your mind, fix your habits, fix your body, fix your soul. Because the truth is simple. No one's coming. It's you versus you. And losing is not an option. Discipline is the root of all self-respect. It's a simple phrase, but one packed with profound truth. Without discipline, respect, both from others and from yourself, crumbles like a house built on sand. Self-respect is not something you are born with. It's something you build brick by brick through the daily choices you make and the habits you forge. Discipline is that foundation. When you master discipline, you don't just gain control over your actions. You reclaim your identity, your confidence, and your worth. Think about it. How do you feel when you set a goal and follow through, no matter how hard it gets? When you wake up early to exercise or resist a tempting distraction to focus on your work, you feel powerful because you've taken control. Discipline means showing up for yourself even when motivation fades or when life throws chaos your way. It means saying no to immediate pleasure for long-term gain. That very act of commitment transforms how you see yourself. You go from being someone who wants change to someone who makes change happen. That shift in identity, that unwavering commitment is the core of self-respect. Without discipline, your self-respect becomes fragile, constantly battered by your own inconsistency. When you break promises to yourself, when you let laziness, procrastination, or excuses dictate your day, you send a silent message to your brain, I'm not worth the effort. This internal betrayal chips away at your confidence, your belief in your own potential. It becomes a vicious cycle where low self-respect feeds lack of discipline, and lack of discipline further erodes self-respect. Breaking free from this loop requires discipline itself. The first step is to recognize that discipline is not a punishment or burden. It is a gift you give to yourself. People often confuse discipline with rigidity or harshness. They imagine it as a joyless grind, something that strips away freedom and fun. But real discipline actually increases your freedom. When you are disciplined, you control your impulses and your environment instead of being controlled by them. That means you create space for what truly matters: health, achievement, meaningful relationships, because you have mastered the art of delaying gratification. This mastery breeds a sense of pride. It's a pride that doesn't depend on external validation, but arises from knowing you are living in alignment with your values and goals. Discipline also shapes your character. It teaches you resilience, patience, and responsibility. When you commit to a task and see it through, even when it's hard or boring, you strengthen your mental toughness. This toughness is a form of respect you owe yourself, a promise that no matter how tough things get, you won't quit. The simple act of persevering through discomfort and challenges proves you are capable of more than you thought. That realization fuels your self-respect, reminding you that you are not defined by your setbacks, but by how you respond to them. On the flip side, a lack of discipline breeds chaos and regret. Without it, your life becomes a series of missed opportunities, unfulfilled promises, and wasted potential. You start to hate yourself. Not because you are inherently unworthy, but because you constantly break the unspoken contracts you've made with yourself. Every time you fail to act with discipline, your inner voice grows louder, filled with disappointment and doubt. That voice is toxic. It convinces you that change is impossible, that you are stuck as you are. But it's a lie. Discipline is the antidote. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about consistency. You don't have to be flawless to earn self-respect, but you do have to show up for yourself day after day. Even small acts of discipline accumulate over time, building momentum that propels you forward. It might be waking up 15 minutes earlier to read or journal, sticking to a workout plan, or simply choosing healthy meals. Each choice is a vote for the person you want to become. Over weeks and months, these votes compound into undeniable proof that you are someone who can be trusted by others, but more importantly, by yourself. In many ways, discipline is a form of self-love disguised as effort. It means caring enough about your future to make sacrifices today. It means respecting your own potential so deeply that you refuse to settle for less than what you are capable of. When you practice discipline, you declare that your goals and dreams matter. You show that you value your time, your energy, and your body. This respect radiates outward and attracts respect from others because people naturally gravitate toward those who honor themselves. Discipline becomes a magnet for opportunity, success, and authentic relationships. It's also important to realize that discipline requires self-awareness. You have to know your weaknesses, your triggers, and your patterns of avoidance. Only then can you design a system that supports your growth rather than sabotages it. This might mean setting clear boundaries, creating routines, or removing temptations. It means being honest with yourself about what you can realistically handle and gradually pushing those limits. This honest self-assessment is itself an act of respect. It means you refuse to hide behind excuses or lies. You face yourself and take responsibility for your life. Moreover, discipline cultivates humility. It teaches you that greatness is earned, not given. You learn to appreciate the process, the grind, the sacrifices behind every success story. This humility anchors your self-respect in reality, preventing arrogance or entitlement. You understand that respect is a continuous journey, not a destination. Every day offers a new chance to prove your commitment to yourself. This mindset keeps you grounded, focused, and hungry for improvement. To sum it up, discipline is not just a habit, it's the soil in which self-respect grows. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into the architect of your life. When you embrace discipline, you reclaim your power and dignity. You become the person you've always known you could be. You stop waiting for someone else to fix you because you realize you are the only one with that responsibility. Self-respect is earned through consistent action, hard choices, and unwavering commitment. Discipline lights the path. Walk it without hesitation and watch your self-respect rise to heights you never imagined possible. Comfort is the enemy of growth. This statement cuts straight to the heart of why so many people struggle to change, improve, or reach their potential. Comfort feels good. It's natural to want ease, safety, and predictability. But comfort also quietly kills progress. It lulls you into a false sense of security where nothing new is learned, no challenges are faced, and no boundaries are pushed. Growth, on the other hand, demands discomfort, struggle, and risk. If you want to become stronger, smarter, or better in any area of life, you have to break free from comfort. It's not just a preference, it's a necessity. Think about what comfort really means. It means staying within the boundaries of what's known and safe. It means avoiding pain, avoiding failure, and avoiding the unknown. It means choosing convenience over challenge, the easy path over the difficult one. At first, comfort feels like peace, but over time it becomes a cage, a place where potential goes to die. When you refuse to leave your comfort zone, you settle for mediocrity. You accept a smaller version of yourself and a smaller version of life. And this doesn't just happen overnight. It happens gradually, with every choice you make to avoid discomfort. Growth, by contrast, lives on the edge of discomfort. It's the moment when you feel nervous, uncertain, or scared that your brain starts to rewire itself, your muscles start to strengthen, and your character begins to form. Growth is often painful because it requires change. And change means breaking down old patterns and beliefs. It means facing fears and doubts head on. When you push yourself to learn a new skill, start a new habit, or pursue a challenging goal, you are stepping into discomfort. That's where the magic happens. That's where your limits expand and your potential unfolds. The problem is that our brains are wired to seek comfort because comfort means survival. Thousands of years ago, staying comfortable meant staying alive. Danger was everywhere. And conserving energy and avoiding risk were smart strategies. But in the modern world, this survival instinct can become a trap. The mind screams at you to relax, avoid pain, and stay where it's safe. But that's exactly where growth stops. The biggest threat to your future is your attachment to comfort. If you want to grow, you must learn to ignore that voice and choose discomfort on purpose. One of the hardest parts about this is that discomfort is often misunderstood. People assume discomfort means pain, suffering, or failure. And yes, it can mean that sometimes. But discomfort also means uncertainty, frustration, and awkwardness. It means showing up when you don't feel like it, practicing when you're tired, facing criticism, or risking rejection. These moments are uncomfortable because they expose you to vulnerability. But vulnerability is the gateway to growth. Without it, you remain stuck in the same place, living the same story day after day. There is a powerful truth here. Comfort breeds complacency, and complacency breeds regret. When you stay comfortable, you avoid the hard work of transformation, but you pay a heavy price in the long run. Years pass, and you look back wondering why you never became the person you dreamed of being. You realize you traded your potential for temporary ease. Comfort may have felt good in the moment, but it robbed you of the growth and fulfillment you craved. That regret is far more painful than any discomfort you could face today. To grow, you must embrace discomfort as a sign that you are moving forward. When you feel resistance, fear, or struggle, don't run from it. Lean into it. Use that discomfort as fuel to push harder, learn more, and become stronger. Every great success story involves discomfort at some point. The athlete training at dawn before the rest of the world wakes, the entrepreneur risking everything on an uncertain idea, the artist facing rejection but still creating. They all chose discomfort over comfort, and that choice set them apart. This doesn't mean you should live a life of constant pain or hardship. It means you need to recognize the difference between productive discomfort and harmful suffering. Productive discomfort challenges you and moves you closer to your goals. Harmful suffering is staying stuck in negative patterns that don't serve growth, like toxic relationships or bad habits. The key is learning to tolerate the right kind of discomfort, the kind that stretches you, teaches you, and builds resilience. Another way comfort kills growth is by shrinking your curiosity and creativity. When you're comfortable, you stop questioning, exploring, and experimenting. You settle into routines and habits that feel safe, and your mind becomes stagnant. Growth requires curiosity, the desire to discover new ideas, try new approaches, and fail forward. But curiosity can only thrive in discomfort because it requires stepping into the unknown and being willing to make mistakes. If you stay comfortable, your mind closes off and your potential shrinks. Discomfort also builds character. It teaches patience, grit, and humility. When things get hard and you resist the urge to quit, you develop mental toughness. You learn that setbacks aren't the end, they're lessons. You realize that growth is not linear, it's a series of ups and downs. Comfort can never teach you these lessons because it shields you from challenge. But growth demands that you face challenge head-on, learn from failure, and keep going even when the path is unclear. There's also a social dimension to this. People often want to stay comfortable because they fear judgment or rejection. It's easier to blend in, avoid conflict, or stick to what everyone else is doing. But growth requires breaking away from the crowd sometimes, standing alone and making tough decisions. This can be uncomfortable socially, but it's necessary for becoming your authentic self. Comfort in social situations often means hiding your true potential and settling for approval rather than excellence. Ultimately, growth is a choice. It's a daily decision to prioritize your future self over your present comfort. It's choosing hard work over ease, challenge over safety, and progress over stagnation. It means understanding that discomfort is not the enemy. It's the signal that you're on the right path. When you learn to welcome discomfort, you transform it from a source of fear into a source of power. Imagine your life as a muscle. If you never challenge it, it stays weak. But if you consistently push it beyond its limits, it grows stronger. Comfort is the equivalent of never lifting a weight or running a mile. It feels good to rest, but it does nothing to improve your strength. Growth is the pain and effort of lifting that weight, running that mile, and pushing yourself beyond what you thought possible. The results don't come from comfort. They come from discomfort embraced and overcome. To grow, you must ask yourself, what comforts am I clinging to that are holding me back? What fears keep me in my safe zone? What small discomforts can I face today that will move me closer to the person I want to be? The answers to these questions will guide you out of complacency and into growth. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you build a habit that will change your life. In the end, comfort is not just an enemy of growth, it's a thief of your dreams. It steals your potential while you're distracted by temporary ease. But you don't have to fall victim to that thief. You have the power to choose discomfort, embrace challenge, and create a life defined by growth. The journey is tough, but the rewards are immense. Self-respect, confidence, achievement, and fulfillment. Don't let comfort hold you back. Break free, lean into discomfort, and watch yourself grow beyond anything you ever imagined. You are not broken. You're undisciplined. This is a hard truth to accept because it challenges the victim mindset that so many people fall into. When life gets tough, when things don't go your way, or when you fail to reach your goals, it's easy to believe that something inside you is fundamentally flawed, that you are broken beyond repair. But that's a lie. You are not broken. What's holding you back is a lack of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. Without it, no amount of talent, intelligence, or good intentions will bring lasting change. Discipline is the muscle you haven't trained yet. To say you're broken is to give yourself an excuse. It lets you off the hook from taking responsibility. When you believe you're broken, you feel helpless. You look at your life and think, I can't fix this because I'm damaged. But undiscipline, on the other hand, is something you can control. It's something you can change by making conscious decisions and building new habits. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself again and again, even when you don't feel like it. The moment you accept that undiscipline, not brokenness, is the issue, you reclaim your power. Lack of discipline shows up in countless ways. Maybe you set goals but never follow through. Maybe you want to improve your health but can't resist the couch or junk food. Maybe you have dreams of success but find yourself distracted by social media or procrastination. These aren't signs of being broken. They are signs that your discipline muscle is weak or undeveloped. Just like any muscle in your body, discipline grows stronger the more you train it. The problem is that most people expect change to come magically through motivation or inspiration without putting in the hard work of discipline. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is consistent. Discipline is what creates structure in your life. It's the ability to say no to short-term gratification in favor of long-term success. It means waking up early even when your bed feels warm, choosing to work on your goals when your energy is low, and pushing through discomfort because you understand that discomfort is part of growth. Without discipline, your life is driven by impulses, habits, and emotions that lead you nowhere. You're constantly reacting rather than creating. That's why so many people feel stuck, frustrated, and out of control. They think they're broken, but the truth is they haven't taken ownership of their discipline yet. The great news is that discipline is learnable. It's not a trait you either have or don't have. Anyone can build discipline with the right mindset and practices. Start small. Choose one area of your life to focus on. Maybe it's your morning routine, exercise, or diet. Set a simple, clear rule and commit to it every day. The power of repetition will build your discipline muscle over time. You will begin to trust yourself more because you prove to yourself that you can follow through. That trust is the foundation of self-respect and confidence. You are not broken because you fail sometimes. Failure is part of the process. Even the most disciplined people slip up, but what sets them apart is that they get back on track quickly. Undiscipline is giving up or making excuses after failure. Discipline is persistence, resilience, and grit. It means understanding that progress is not linear and that setbacks are temporary. When you stop labeling yourself as broken and start seeing yourself as undisciplined, you shift from victim to warrior. You become the person who fights for their future rather than waiting for someone to save them. Another important point is that discipline is a form of self-love. It's easy to think discipline means harshness or punishment, but real discipline is about caring enough for yourself to create healthy boundaries. When you practice discipline, you're saying, I'm worth the effort. You're honoring your goals and your potential. On the flip side, undiscipline often comes from a lack of self-respect. When you let distractions or laziness win, you send a message to yourself that your dreams don't matter. This erodes your self-esteem and feeds the feeling of being broken. But the cycle can be broken through discipline. Discipline also brings clarity and focus. When your actions are consistent and intentional, you stop wasting energy on indecision or doubt. You develop a laser-like focus on what matters most. This focus creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Suddenly, your life begins to move in the direction you want instead of spinning out of control. That's when you realize you were never broken, you were simply undisciplined and scattered. Taking control of your discipline means taking control of your destiny. In every story of success, discipline is the silent hero. The person who changes their life is not necessarily more talented or smarter. They are more disciplined. They show up when others don't. They work when others quit. They make sacrifices when others seek comfort. Discipline builds habits that become automatic, and those habits become the foundation of achievement. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be consistent. Even small daily wins add up to massive transformation over time. You are not broken. You're undisciplined. That means you hold the key to your own change. It's not some external force or circumstance that's holding you back. It's your choices and habits. This knowledge is empowering because it means your future is in your hands. Start today by identifying one undisciplined behavior and replacing it with discipline. Maybe it's turning off your phone an hour earlier, or writing down your goals each morning, or committing to a short workout. Whatever it is, commit fully and watch how your confidence and self-respect grow. The journey won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Remember, discipline is freedom. When you master discipline, you no longer depend on motivation or luck. You become unstoppable because your actions are driven by commitment, not mood. You build a mindset that says, no matter what happens, I will keep going. That mindset crushes doubt and silences the voice that says you're broken. Instead, it replaces it with a voice that says, I am capable, I am strong, I am disciplined. And with that voice leading you, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So stop believing the lie that you're broken. You're not broken. You're undisciplined. And discipline is something you can build starting right now. You don't need permission, you don't need motivation, and you don't need a miracle. You just need to decide, commit, and take the next step. Over time, those steps turn into a journey of transformation, self-respect, and success. That's the power of discipline. That's your power. Excuses build nothing. This is a simple truth, but one that so many people fail to fully grasp because excuses are easy, comforting, and often feel justified in the moment. When you tell yourself an excuse, you are choosing to create a story that protects you from discomfort, responsibility, or fear. But in doing so, you block your own progress. Excuses are the enemy of action, the killers of dreams, and the thieves of potential. They may provide temporary relief, but they never build anything of value. Real growth, success, and achievement come from rejecting excuses and taking ownership of your life no matter what. Excuses are like invisible walls you put up between yourself and your goals. They isolate you in a prison of why not and I can't, trapping you in a cycle of inaction. When you say, I don't have time, I'm too tired, or it's not the right moment, you are convincing yourself that your current situation is permanent and that change is impossible. But these excuses are just stories designed to keep you safe in your comfort zone, but ultimately rob you of progress. The harsh reality is that no one owes you success and no one will wait for you to feel ready. Excuses only delay the inevitable, the need to step up and act. Making excuses is a form of self-deception. It tricks your mind into thinking you are still trying or still moving forward, when in fact you are standing still. You might tell yourself that circumstances beyond your control are to blame, that the world is unfair, or that you simply lack the right resources. While some external factors can be challenging, the power to overcome them lies within you. Those who succeed are not the ones with perfect conditions. They are the ones who refuse to let excuses dictate their actions. Every obstacle can be turned into an opportunity if you remove excuses from the equation. Excuses also feed into fear and procrastination. They allow you to avoid facing the hard truths about what it takes to succeed. You might be afraid of failing, of being judged, or of the unknown future. So instead of confronting those fears, you hide behind excuses, convincing yourself that you will start tomorrow or next week or when things get easier. But the truth is, waiting for perfect conditions is a trap. The longer you wait, the more time passes without progress, and the harder it becomes to start. Excuses are a way to delay pain, but pain is often the gateway to growth. The problem with excuses is that they are sneaky. Sometimes you don't even realize you're making them because they feel so natural and justified. You might say, I'm too busy with work, I'm not talented enough, or I don't have the right connections. These sound like reasonable reasons, but if you look deeper, they are just barriers you put in front of yourself. It's easier to believe these excuses than to confront the discomfort of hard work and change. But no one ever built a legacy on excuses. Real achievement demands that you break through those barriers and take control of your actions. The moment you stop making excuses is the moment you take responsibility for your life. Responsibility is the antidote to excuses. When you own your choices, your actions, and your failures, you gain control. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means being honest with yourself about where you are and what you need to do next. Excuses are the opposite of honesty. They are a form of lying to yourself. By rejecting excuses, you commit to facing reality head on, which is the first step toward meaningful change. Excuses also rob you of respect from yourself and from others. When you repeatedly make excuses, you train your mind to accept less than your best. You lower your standards and send a message that your goals don't really matter. Over time, this erodes your confidence and self-worth. People sense this lack of commitment, and it becomes harder to inspire trust or build strong relationships. On the other hand, when you take action despite difficulties and refuse to make excuses, you build credibility and respect. You become someone others look up to because you prove that you can be counted on. Another important point is that excuses limit your creativity and problem-solving ability. When you accept excuses, you stop looking for solutions. Your mind becomes closed off to possibilities because you are focused on reasons why something can't be done. But true growth requires a mindset of how can I, instead of why can't I. When you stop making excuses, you open the door to innovation, resourcefulness, and persistence. You start to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as challenges to overcome. This shift in perspective is what separates successful people from those who stay stuck. Excuses also prevent you from learning and growing through failure. Failure is not the enemy, it's a teacher. But if you make excuses after failing, you miss the lesson. Instead of analyzing what went wrong and adjusting your approach, you blame external factors or circumstances. This stops you from improving and moving forward. Discipline and humility require you to accept responsibility for your mistakes without excuses. This acceptance is what leads to growth, resilience, and eventual success. The reality is that everyone faces challenges and setbacks. Life is never perfect, and conditions are rarely ideal. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of obstacles, but the refusal to make excuses for them. Successful people understand that excuses are just the easy way out. They demand more from themselves. They understand that progress is made by taking imperfect action consistently, not by waiting for the perfect moment or perfect conditions. Breaking free from excuses requires a mindset shift. It means training yourself to recognize when you're making excuses and calling yourself out on it. It means replacing excuses with action-oriented statements like, what can I do right now? Or how can I make this work? This shift is not easy at first because excuses often feel like emotional safety nets. But as you practice this shift, you build confidence and momentum. You realize that you are capable of more than you thought and that the barriers you imagined were mostly in your mind. Accountability is also a powerful tool against excuses. When you commit your goals and actions to someone else, a mentor, coach, friend, or community, you create external pressure to follow through. Accountability partners can challenge your excuses, push you to keep going, and remind you of your potential. This social element strengthens your discipline and reduces the temptation to hide behind excuses. It also builds a sense of connection and support, which makes facing discomfort easier. Excuses are seductive because they feel like relief in the short term, but in the long term, they build nothing but frustration, regret, and lost opportunities. Every time you choose action over an excuse, you build strength, confidence, and progress. You create a foundation for your future success. Excuses may protect you from temporary pain, but they also protect you from your potential. Real growth happens when you say, no more excuses. I will act regardless of how I feel or what obstacles I face. So if you want to build something meaningful, whether it's your career, your health, your relationships, or your mindset, you must reject excuses completely. Excuses build nothing. They are the enemy of progress. The path to success demands that you take full responsibility for your life and your actions. It demands that you face discomfort, challenge, and failure without looking for easy ways out. When you stop making excuses, you open the door to your true potential and begin building a life of purpose, achievement, and fulfillment. Change begins the second you stop lying to yourself. This is a profound statement, yet it's one that many people fail to fully internalize because self-deception is so deeply embedded in human nature. We all tell ourselves stories to protect our ego, to avoid discomfort, and to justify our current situation. These lies might seem harmless or even necessary at times, but in reality, they are the biggest obstacles standing between who you are and who you want to become. True transformation cannot happen until you confront these lies head on and choose honesty, no matter how uncomfortable that truth may be. When you lie to yourself, you create a distorted reality. You might tell yourself, I'm not ready. I don't have enough time. I'm too tired, or it's just who I am. These are all excuses disguised as truths, but they are nothing more than mental barriers preventing growth. The moment you catch yourself in these lies and stop believing them is the moment change begins. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see where you are and what needs to be done. Self-honesty is the foundation of accountability. Without it, you remain stuck in a cycle of stagnation and false comfort. The lies we tell ourselves often stem from fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. Instead of facing these fears, we create narratives that make us feel safe. But safety and self-deception is an illusion. It's a prison that keeps you from taking the necessary risks to grow. Change requires courage because it demands that you step into uncertainty and discomfort. It demands that you acknowledge your weaknesses, mistakes, and limitations without shame or denial. When you stop lying to yourself, you open the door to this courage and take the first step toward genuine change. Self-deception also masks a lack of responsibility. It's easy to blame external circumstances, other people, or bad luck when things aren't going well. Saying, I can't because of this or that happened because of them feels like an excuse that lets you off the hook. But these lies keep you powerless. Change begins when you stop pointing fingers and start owning your life fully. This ownership is not about blaming yourself harshly, but about accepting that your choices, responses, and actions shape your reality. Only when you accept this can you begin to take control and make the changes you desire. Honesty with yourself brings clarity. When you stop lying, you can see what's really holding you back. Maybe it's procrastination disguised as I work better under pressure, or maybe it's fear disguised as I'm just not good enough yet. Whatever the truth is, facing it gives you a roadmap for change. You can identify the habits, beliefs, or behaviors that no longer serve you and consciously choose to replace them. Without honesty, you wander blindly, hoping for change but never truly committing to it. Another critical aspect is that stopping self-lies fosters self-respect. When you lie to yourself, you erode trust in your own judgment and integrity. You create internal conflict because deep down, you know the truth but choose to ignore it. This disconnect causes frustration, guilt, and a sense of failure. However, when you commit to honesty, you build a stronger relationship with yourself. You prove that you can face reality, make tough decisions, and follow through on your promises. This self-respect becomes a powerful motivator for continued growth and change. Change also requires shedding the comfortable identity you've built around those lies. Often, the stories we tell ourselves become part of our identity. I'm a procrastinator. I'm not a morning person. I'm just unlucky. These labels limit you because you start to behave in ways that confirm them. To change, you have to let go of these identities and realize they are not fixed truths, but narratives you created. When you stop lying to yourself about who you are, you open the possibility of becoming someone new, someone capable of growth, success, and fulfillment. The process of stopping self-deception and embracing honesty is not easy. It requires vulnerability, the willingness to look at your flaws and failures without defensiveness. It demands discipline to check your thoughts and question your assumptions regularly. It also requires patience because real change takes time and consistent effort. You will stumble, revert to old lies, and face discomfort. But each time you choose honesty over deception, you strengthen your ability to change and move forward. One practical way to stop lying to yourself is to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches you to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. This awareness helps you catch when you're making excuses or creating false narratives. It gives you the space to choose a different, more truthful response. Journaling is another powerful tool. Writing down your thoughts forces you to confront them honestly. You can identify patterns of self-deception and consciously rewrite your story. Talking to trusted friends, mentors, or therapists can also provide external perspectives that challenge your internal lies. When you embrace truth, you also embrace responsibility for your happiness and success. You no longer wait for circumstances to change or for others to fix your problems. You realize that the power to change your life is in your hands. This shift from victimhood to empowerment is the turning point for transformation. You become proactive instead of reactive, strategic instead of aimless. This mindset alone can create massive momentum toward your goals. It's important to understand that honesty doesn't mean brutal self-criticism or self-condemnation. It means clear-eyed realism combined with compassion. When you stop lying to yourself, you see your weaknesses but also your strengths. You acknowledge where you've fallen short but also recognize your potential. This balanced perspective allows you to set realistic goals, develop effective plans, and maintain motivation. It helps you bounce back from setbacks with resilience because you're grounded in truth, not fantasy. Change that begins with honesty is lasting because it's built on a solid foundation. Temporary motivation or external pressure might lead to short bursts of progress, but without honesty, those gains are fragile and short-lived. When you're honest with yourself, you build habits and mindsets that align with your true values and vision. You create a life that reflects who you really are and who you want to become. This alignment produces fulfillment, peace, and sustained success. The journey of change starts with one courageous act, admitting the truth to yourself. It might be uncomfortable or even painful to face your shortcomings or mistakes, but that pain is necessary. It's the breaking point where old patterns die and new possibilities emerge. Each honest step forward weakens the grip of self-deception